all my fantasy football friends. Welcome to the Multiple First Dynasty channel. This is Tony and Greg coming at you with our fourth in a series of real-time Dynasty slow draft. This is the league 24/7, 365. Been a couple days, so some rounds have come off the board, but I got Greg here today, and we're going to be able to talk about some of the moves we made, some of the picks as they've broken down, and we're going to talk about what we're doing as we move forward. How you feeling today, man?
I'm excited for how our startup is going here. I mean, we are getting so many of those hard to come by 23 first round picks, and we're doing it on a team that I think is not a complete tank job, right? And so I'm over the moon for how we're doing so far. Very excited, having a good time, and can't wait to break this down for the YouTube viewers.
Yeah, as it sits right now, you mentioned it. We have 5 total 2023 first round picks and an extra second. So
Yep.
nearly half the first round next year is in our pocket. And no spoilers, we won't be trading any of those picks away.
Well, at least not now, right? But
True.
of course, if we get down to the deadline and we are surprisingly contentious, we
Yes,
might
sir.
go. We might move one of them for a young piece that has multiple years left, but can help us in the run. I don't plan to, right? But it's nice to remember that you can. You know, those 23 first round picks give you a lot of flexibility. If you're good, you can go in. If you're not good, you can trade some more older players to get some more future firsts. It's a win-win situation, I really think.
Yeah, so when last we checked in, I think the third down was the third round was winding down. We talked about a trade we traded off our second and third round picks. We're going to quickly recap those just for anyone who may be first time tuning in here. So I have the trade of our third round pick brought up right now. So Stash and Greg traded away our 303 and 703, and we acquired two 2023 first round picks. That's 2 of those, and the 901 selection. So putting some players in there on those names, that trade basically is Debo and Cousins in a 6-point passing touchdown full PPR league. Traded away Debo and Cousins in exchange for 223 firsts and Chase Claypool. So how do you feel about that trade with names put on it?
I think Debo and Cousins are both worth about a 23 first. About. I think maybe Debo is maybe Debo's worth less than that if you're as worried about his contract as I am. So yeah, I really like the trade. I have to say I wouldn't have taken Debo there, right? So I don't entirely view it that way. I might have taken Jalen Waddle, who I like better, or T. Higgins.
Yeah.
But even still, like moving one of those guys, move down to Claypool, you give up Kirk Cousins, but you acquire the 23 first round picks. We're going to try to make it work a little bit light at running back this year. And we'll be able to pivot into a running back heavier build next year on the strength of the multiple firsts that we have in the strong running back class. We'll be able to, add quarterback depth that we gave up in giving up the Cousins pick, right?
Yes,
and so obviously it puts us into a shoestring position for this year, right? We're going to be thin.
Yeah.
But I love getting that move. I love getting that move quite a bit. I like Claypool too. I think he's still got plenty of gas in the tank, and is a huge talent.
I asked my question in my last episode or a few episodes ago, and you weren't with me. But if I told you could only have one asset on your dynasty roster right now, the price the exact same, Chase Claypool or George Pickens, who do you want?
George Pickens.
Yeah, why do you feel that way?
Because I love George Pickens.
Okay. How do you feel?
Like I love George Pickens. I'm a stan. So that's
That's
the
fair,
answer.
man. You got to have
Um,
those players that you love like that. Yeah, go on.
but I think they're close. I think, gosh, I don't know what I think. George Pickens and one of the other two guys will be there in a year or two, right? And I don't know if they get. I don't know if they move on from Deontay. Uh, they may just not want to pay him. Um, and so it could just be both of them. It could be both Pickens and Claypool, right?
How do you feel about the character concerns when it comes to Pickens? I get worried that he's gonna do something stupid and get in a fight or something like that, and get
Oh, he
himself
will.
suspended or things like that. And
Yeah, he will. I mean, he's going to throw punches on the field.
you think so?
Uh,
Yeah.
oh, for sure. Remember when Michael Crabtree and Aqib Talib were snatching each other's necklaces off
Yeah.
like that? That's who George Pickens is a little bit to me. What I don't have with George Pickens is concerns that he's going to end up with an 8-game suspension
Sure.
because of serious criminal activity. That to me is not what I'm looking at. The nastiness on the field is almost attractive to me.
Sure. He's a dog, right? He's getting out there after it. He's a soldier.
And it's not like Chase Claypool doesn't have
No.
this stuff too,
Yes,
right?
I
Chase
agree.
Claypool has been called a head case before. But also, both of those guys have skills or traits that have, top 5 at the position ceiling. So that to me, and they're young. So ridiculous athleticism, good hands, and young, and on a team I like. So I'm in with all of that. I'm very happy that we moved down. So after we moved down off of our 3rd round pick, so we came out of round 3 with nothing but Josh Allen and 3 23 first round picks, right?
Yeah, and we had an extra 9th, and we were missing our
A
7th,
7.
and we were missing our 10th.
But the key thing for me
Yeah.
is to be able to add these additional, or actually we added 3 additional picks. So we had come out of the 3rd round with
And
4.
we had 2 4s. Yeah.
So we came out of the third round with 4 2023 first, right? We added 2 when we moved down from we added 1 when we moved down out of the 2nd, 2 when we moved down out of the 3rd,
Yeah, we had
and
4
plus
all
our
day.
own.
Yep, 4 all day.
And
Yeah.
and you had Josh Allen, right? Like that's
Yep.
what's ridiculous is you got that without moving your first, and you got the 101 in all of Dynasty. That or Superflex Dynasty at least. That to me is what is so good about this draft. Everything else is details. We got a tanking number of 23 firsts, but we got Josh Allen and made 2 picks in the 4th round and have a team that has every possibility of contending this year, right? So usually I have to drop even farther and harder to get this many firsts.
Sure.
So I feel great about it. I think that some of the owners in this league were a little bit loose with their 23 firsts.
Yeah, you're going to find that, and that's been my policy is to vacuum up every 23 first that's available in your league. Like, make it known right off the rip to your league mates, guys, if you're trying to do this, if you're trying to really acquire them. Hey, if you're trying to move your first, if you're trying to make a play to step up the draft board, then come to me. Come to Stosh, come to Greg, come to Velociraptor, whoever may be out there. I will make a deal with you. I'm trying to do something. And you get this thing where it's a bit of a funnel where anyone who's trying to, people are going to start hitting you up in your DMs and saying, hey, I'll move my first. I'm looking to come up in this round. And that's how you can kind of really acquire a lot of them. You can acquire multiple 2023 first round picks. But so I want to talk about as this thing broke down, we're going to follow the mouse ball on my screen here. The 3rd round goes, and Mr. Justin Fields starts to slip down the board a little bit. At the 312 and 311 go Stafford and Zach Wilson, respectively. 4.1, DJ Moore. 4.2, Derrick Henry. 4.3, Michael Pittman. And now remember, at this point in the draft, team MF has the 410 and the 408 and the 503. So we have 3 picks in a group right around that 4-5 corner. And Greg and I both like Fields. We definitely see him above what were the remaining quarterbacks on the board, guys like Mack, Carr, Rodgers, Tua. Uh, we like Fields, and we're thinking he's got a gap between him and those dudes. So what we did was didn't anticipate Fields to fall much further, so we sent out a very square 2 for 2, and we traded up. So I want to put that trade up on the screen. We traded off. I sent to Boom Roasted, the Michael Scott meme. Boom Roasted. We sent him our 408 and 503 for his 404 and 509. We do a lot of trading down, guys. Every once in a while, I will trade up and very strategically strike. And if you want to trade up, the best possible way to do it is exactly like this. You want to take a pick. You don't want to be trading up more than like 6 or 7 slots. So as you can see, we're going from the 408 to the 404. Okay, so don't try to
Yep.
overreach. And
Yep.
then we're going up 4 slots, and then the very next round down, we're paying that man by moving him up 6 slots. We go up 4, he goes up 6 in the next round. That is
Yep.
about as friendly as it could possibly be for us. I didn't expect this to get accepted at face value. He did accept it. We jumped right up there. We took Justin Fields, and the guy right behind us, Jay Hunt, he really started putting up a fit in the league chat because he was waiting for Fields.
Yep. He was dying to get Fields, and then he ends up trading out of that pick. Uh, and Etienne goes next. But I look at this. I think there's a tier break here after Fields, right? So I'm not super comfortable with Etienne and Dobbins in the high fourth. Those are a little bit more like high fifth to
Yeah,
me.
I agree with you. Yep.
And so if you look at what goes after Fields, I would have loved Zach Wilson or Michael Pittman, who went just before him, right? But then the guys who go after Fields, Etienne, Dobbins, Aaron Rodgers, Carr, Kamara, like to me, that's all a tier down. So I guess the reason it was accepted is if we're seeing a tier break there after Fields and the guy on the clock doesn't like Fields, then he's already on the wrong side of his tier break.
Yes, sir.
And I guess that's why we got the deal is, he might have been looking at Carr at 4-4.
Yeah, and he's knowing he could probably slide down those few slots, move his fifth up, and get the quarterback he's targeting already. If that very well could be the case here, and it was the case based on what he did.
Exactly. Or he might have been sliding down for Rodgers and then missed out.
Yeah, that's true too.
But I love it. We got Allen, we got Fields. If Fields happens to hit, we are a legitimate championship contender just on the superflex, the quarterback superflex pairing. And the fact that I know you and I are going to be able to generate some value by uncovering some diamonds in the rough, right? So we don't have a position player yet, right? We're in the middle of the fourth. All we've got are the 2 quarterbacks and the picks, but we are in position to contend. So I absolutely love that. And then we came up again at the 410, which was our natural pick. And I know here we did something that you and I don't like to do.
Yeah, we compromised.
And we made a real win now move and took Saquon Barkley. And that is an upside play. But also, this is a guy who was the 101 a couple of years ago. This is a guy who was the RB1 in his rookie year and has never stayed healthy since.
Yep.
I still believe that this is a super elite profile. He is still only 25. He's a 230-pound back with home run speed.
He's the best.
He's so special.
He's so
when
special.
He's so special when he's right. And so again, like we have started off with Allen, Fields, Barkley. So that group has to stay healthy and Fields has to hit. And then you're started on the core of a team that can really compete with 5 23 firsts at the same time. And it's that pairing that is so exciting for me.
And I can tell you right now, we're gonna pick up Matt Breida here in one of these later round picks. So we're gonna want to handcuff our Saquon. Will we roster Gary Brightwell? Probably no.
Not it's
Yeah,
28. It's 28. It's 28 spots. So no, we
yeah, I
won't
don't think so.
because.
But I'm down to roster
Uh,
Breda if you are.
oh well, and didn't they add a? They added a UDFA who's getting some camp buzz, and we've got.
I forget who that was. Yeah, I can look him up.
Well, we've got a rookie draft coming up, so we can worry about that later. Those players aren't eligible, but yeah, we're going to want to handcuff our Barkley. We're going to be thin at running back, and we're going to want to make sure we have some guys that can step in.
Corbin,
Um,
Jashuan Corbin from Florida State.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very athletic. Okay, so then in the fifth round, where we come up at 5.9, and we took Devonta Smith. I know there are a lot of people who are not in love with Devonta Smith. There aren't a lot of wide receiver twos on their team that are going this high in the draft. But I mean, this is a guy who was a top 10 pick last year. That offense is poised to at least have a chance to break out. And if you look at guys with his draft capital and his performance as a rookie, you see almost 95% of them improve year over year going into the second year. And this is a guy who was I don't know, like he was a high end wide receiver 3 last year, I believe. Yeah,
Wide receiver 29 in PPR.
wide receiver 29. Yeah,
Yep.
a high end wide receiver 3.
The flex option
So
weekly. Yeah.
So, you're hoping that he's a wide receiver 2 for you this year in your wide receiver 1 spot, and then you're going to have to scramble and get by.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and I don't mind that at all.
AJ Brown hasn't been the pillar of health either throughout his career. I mean,
no, he has not been.
So
He has not been. Wide receivers changing teams often struggle. It's not inconceivable that Smith is the leading target there. So yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled to get him at 5'9". I think he's got at least as good a situation as Waddle. He didn't show as much as Waddle last year, for sure, but Waddle's going 2.5 rounds earlier than him, and also is now behind a premium receiver in a pecking order. So I feel really good about the value on Devonta Smith at 5.9. I know we were considering. We got sniped a little bit there. We were considering taking Tua.
I would have taken Tua if he was on the board. As to get that third quarter.
I'd have had a hard time I'd have had a hard time deciding between Tua and Smith. So I think we'd have gone with your pick there.
Another guy, as I'm looking at the board, who may have been in play. Tell me if he was really in play for you. We weren't in chat with each other. We were just kind of DMing at work around most of these picks, guys. But Antonio Gibson goes 2 picks later. Was that on your mind?
No.
Why not?
I am redraft only on Gibson because I think he is not there next year.
Really?
Or
after his 4th season.
Or I think he is not the lead back next year.
Okay.
I don't think they like him. I like him.
Yeah.
I like him. I think they are telling us they don't like him.
What move makes you think that? Because they drafted Robinson and Patterson the last 2 years. Is that
no,
it's
the okay. No. It's it starts with the McKissick move. Like that will to do something very shady to bring J.D. McKissick back strikes me as a signal that they really don't want Gibson catching the ball.
Do you think it was shady what they did? I don't know the nuance of the situation, but I thought he just failed his physical and then came back.
No, he agreed to terms. He agreed to terms but had not signed the deal. And
so what happened? Yeah.
The unwritten rule is you stop negotiating once they say yes. The third team, other teams stop negotiating once they agree to terms, right? Yeah. And Washington didn't. Washington called back and afterwards
they upped the offer from Buffalo.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Buffalo's very unhappy about it. I'm sure there are other GMs who were looking at that and thinking that's a shady thing to do, right? So to do that, to bring McKissick in, tells me you have no desire to let Gibson catch the football. And he's a terrible pass blocker.
I didn't know that about him. Does the Brian Robinson move play into it too a little bit, or?
And then they go get Brian
Yeah, and
Robinson.
then they follow all that up by drafting Brian Robinson.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like that constellation of moves makes me think they don't like Antonio Gibson. I mean, by the way, and they didn't give him like, yeah, they split a lot of work last year, right? There have been things for whatever reason. I think Antonio Gibson is not happening in Washington the way people think it is.
yeah. He has all these random games of like really low snap percentage, like the 33% snap share, 39% snap share, 37, like bunch of games of
Right,
50% or less snap share for whatever reason. I don't know. Pass
right,
blocking
and
thing, I guess. Yeah.
this is a guy who was a wide receiver in college, and they don't use him as the receiving back in the backfield, but they also don't split him out, right? It's not like they have some sets where he's in the slot and McKissick is in the backfield and we're throwing the football. That like they don't do that either.
Yeah.
And so for me, Gibson's not really on the table there.
Sure,
I would have
sure,
been, the guy I'd have been more interested in if we were gonna look for a different player other than Smith would be Hollywood.
Yep, I agree with that. Marquise Brown, I like that.
Yeah, I think Hollywood is a good choice there. But I'm very pleased to have taken Smith. I think Smith is the superior long-term play. I think Hollywood would have made more sense for a year one compete.
Okay, sixth round coming down. As you can see, this what's going on. Elijah Moore at the top of the sixth, Mike Evans, AJ Dillon, Josh Jacobs. There goes Hollywood. Keenan Allen at the 6.6, followed by Rashad Bateman, Leonard Fournette, James Conner go back to back at the 6.8 and 6.9. For competitive teams, I guess that's a good spot, but that's just too early for me on each of those tailbacks. And then the 6.10 was our selection and hit us on the clock, and we were actually able to trade that away on the clock, and I'll put that trade up on the screen right now. We traded the 6.10 away to Mr. Treads for his 23 first and second as a 2-for-1. We get no picks in this draft. We get no picks in our 22 rookie draft. He sends us his 23 1-2. We send him the 6.10. He comes up there to take Mike Williams.
And I think this is an example. Like, I don't particularly intend to trade any of these 23 firsts, but if you turned the Mike Williams pick into a 23 first and second, and then later in the year, you went out and traded away those 23 first and second, I feel like you could probably get something better than Mike Williams for it.
I agree. You could probably get you could probably get an Eckler plus at the end of his, kind of tapering off area.
Sure, or if you want a wide receiver, like, maybe for a 23 first and second, maybe you could get Michael Pittman.
You probably could. You could probably get. Right. You could probably get Tyreek Hill for that. Maybe. I don't know. It just depends how they're doing in
guys.
here.
I mean, even young guys like Jerry Jeudy, right? So somebody who's young and also contributing now, and also better than Mike Williams. I think you could do that. And so I'm very happy to make that move. I don't know who I would have taken there. I probably would have banged the table for one of Mooney or Davis or Juju right there. Cousins would have been an option, but
we were talking about McLaurin. I like
McLaurin. McLaurin had to be under consideration.
Yeah.
I
think if we had stuck, it would have been McLaurin, or I think we were on like McLaurin, Sutton, Mooney. Yeah, right on there.
Yeah, and so I feel like we got out of that spot and then left ourselves in a perfectly good position. Now, the one thing that was difficult there is from 5.9 when we took Devonta Smith, because we traded this 6.10, we had already moved 7.3. So we go from 5.9 to 8.10 without picking.
Yeah, big nap we had to take, unfortunately.
Yeah, so through 7 rounds, what we had was Josh Allen, Justin Fields, Saquon Barkley, Devonta Smith, and
5 total 23 first-round picks.
And the 2 seconds. Absolutely. That's what we had. And I just, because you've got Josh Allen in there and some other pieces, to have that many first-round picks is just stunningly good value to come out of round 7 with. And then round 8 goes, and some guys I really like came off the board. I was getting ready to pound the table for Ayuk or Christian Kirk,
I was hoping
and
Ayuk would come down to us so bad. Yeah, I really
or
wanted him.
Amon Ra, who
Clyde
went a
Edwards-Helaire would
pick
have been
before
talking
us.
about him. Or maybe
Yep.
that's too early for yeah.
No. We were talking about Clyde. I think Clyde and Sanders are back to back in some order. But we got Miles Sanders at the 8-10. And I think Miles Sanders is a huge upside piece, right? Like this is at ADP. This is a guy who has running back one talent, who has a running back one potential situation, who got ridiculously bad touchdown luck last year. Like he was the lead back, and I realize he missed time and didn't get that many carries, but he was the lead back by carries, I believe, for the year.
Yards per carry?
No, for total carries for the season.
Total attempts for the Eagles.
Total attempts for the season.
Yeah.
And they had the most rushing touchdowns in the league, and he got 0.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like there's just almost guaranteed massive touchdown regression for him going into next season. He's 25 years old.
He was targeted 60 times and then 50 times in the first 2 seasons, and then in only 12 games last year, he had 35 targets. So he'd probably, if he plays all 16, he'd probably look at about 50 targets again. If you want to hang your hat on something with Sanders, he had a 5.5 yards per carry last year on 137 attempts. So that's
after 5.3 the year before and 4.5 as a rookie. So I mean that's
he's
excellent.
He's an efficient running back. Yeah.
He has not stayed healthy, but like again, if you get the year where he stays healthy. If you get the year where Barkley and Sanders stay healthy,
oh boy,
this has the makings of a team where we could be in a semifinal game staring at 5 future firsts and everybody else is feeling like they're behind the 8 ball already 4 years. Right. So
we already had Devonta Smith from the 5th round, and we're drafting another Eagle here. Does Sanders, I guess, already having Smith, does that impact your opinion on taking Sanders at all?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, first of all, I like that team, and I like the fact that either Hurts is going to take a step forward, or they're going to use their 2 first-round picks next year to go get a quarterback. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's where we are. Hurts now has the opportunity to prove that he belongs as the long-term starter, and if he fails to, they have the resources to upgrade. It's not like they're going to decide Hurts isn't the guy, and we're going to get Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jared Goff from the free agent heap and Marcus Mariota bouncing around. We're not going to get that. We're going to they trade 2 first-round picks to move up and get a guy if they need to get a guy. So I feel really good about that. Now, Miles Sanders is free after this year, so that's a whole thing.
Yep. 9.1, we get Chase Claypool. We had him pegged as the next player we wanted after Sanders. I think that's a pretty good value for Claypool and the upside he presents. 9 touchdowns in 2020. Call it 10 because he had a rushing.
Yep.
2 touchdowns last season.
Yep.
Claypool, he's probably going to finish somewhere in between those 2 numbers this season. I don't know where, though.
Well, a guy he reminds me of a little bit is Mike Williams. And if you look at Mike Williams' touchdown numbers, Mike Williams went 2017, he had no touchdowns. 2018, it was 10. 2019, it was 2. And then back up to 9 last year, right? So I think some variance there. And you got to get on the right side of luck to be the champion. But I like Claypool, and I like his potential. I do think a tier of wide receivers went away when St. Brown left.
Yeah, right? We got clipped on that a little bit, yeah.
Cooks, Ayuk, Kirk. St. Brown.
Yep.
That's a whole level. And then
like Renfro and Juju are kind of in there also. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're down a level on the next one. So I do think we were in a position that was a little bit tough. One thing I'm noticing here is I have to stop and think a little bit about the values of different picks because there are no rookies in this class.
Yeah,
Right. So 9-1 is probably 7 or 8 spots worse than in a draft where you're drafting rookie picks or
I
you're drafting the rookies.
I agree. Yeah, after about the 10th round is when I just start adding around, like because it normally would have rookies, about 12 rookies in it. After
Yep.
about the 10th round of vets. Excuse me. But
So then we were up in
yep.
2 picks later
Mm-hmm.
at 9-3, and we took Dalton Schultz. Now
Schultz.
we had an offer. We could have taken 10-5 or
10,
10-4
10-4, yeah.
and a 2023 second to drop off. I wouldn't have hated that. I know you would have loved that, and we ended up not doing it.
Yeah.
We took Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz is the tight end 6. I think there's an argument that he's better than that. At his age, he should be the dynasty tight end 5 right now.
Yeah, he finished at 3 last year, and all that happened was more targets opened up in this offense
Yeah.
with Cooper leaving. So it's arrows up for Dalton Schultz. Blake Jarwin was released, so that conversation's done. I don't expect Jake Ferguson to come in there and disrupt anything off the rip. Right, that's the tight end they drafted.
Yep.
Gallup's still. I heard. I personally expect Gallup to not be healthy at the start of the season. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
So Dalton Schultz, James Washington. Who's the rookie they took? Tolbert.
Tolbert. Yeah, no, Dalton Schultz is the target 2 for at least half the season.
This is
I
Lamb
think,
and Dalton all day. These two guys, Lamb and Dalton, is what
yes.
Dak's 600 plus attempts are looking at.
Yes. So I'm very excited to have him. Later in the round, so like between 9-3 and 10-4, where we had that trade down, Freiermuth goes off the board, Goddard goes off the board. I think that's it. And so if you pass on him here, if you pass on Schultz and trade down, I feel like maybe aren't going down a full tier, but you're certainly losing a bunch of options I like. Because the next 2 tight ends who go after the 10.4 are Njoku and Fant, and I think that's a lot more speculative than Schultz, Freiermuth, Goddard.
Yeah, it's a little flatter for me. I think Kazeki is kind of with Schultz, but the big reason for we talked about this weeks and weeks ago in a video. I don't bring it up again here. I loved Dalton Schultz last year and the last 2 years. I was picking him up heavily as like a 20-something pick, okay? And that's not me trying to toot my own horn. I called this sleeper, blah blah blah. But it's like I was in on this guy, and now he's just burst up the board, and for good reason. He deserves to. But I always mentally struggle to stay with that guy now that he is significantly more expensive. Players like that are always a challenge for me to continue to be in on over time, as their value rises. It's like, hey, you were right, but are you gonna come back to the table with this player, And that's.
Oh, you're describing the Gabe Davis fan experience.
Yeah, Darren Waller is the absolute biggest one of my whole career. I loved Darren Waller before his breakout. I thought, oh boy, Derek Carr's finally getting a tight end. And I was picking him up everywhere in the nothing free rounds. And then the next season, he's like a 3rd-round pick. And I'm like, nope, can't spend 3rd-round pick on Waller. That don't make sense. And it's so awkward.
Yeah, no, I totally agree and get that. But I feel comfortable with Dalton Schultz there. So then we
I'm sorry, I was kind of rambling about it, but I like Schultz there, and I think he's going to have a very productive season and career moving forward.
So my only thought with that pick is at some point we had to stick and pick if we wanted to end up with a reasonably competitive roster, and not to pull back the curtain for the listeners too much, but I did not want to have a team that had 8 future firsts and was going to go 3-12. and then have to sit here and do shows about it every week, right? So,
Like, hey, we
uh,
lost again. Yeah.
right. So
Mhm.
part of my thought is, okay, now we've got Allen, we've got Saquon and Sanders, it's passable. We've got Smith and Claypool, that's not really passable. But now adding Dalton Schultz gives you another solid position.
There's some positional advantage there. You're going to outscore other
Yeah,
people's tight ends with Dalton Schultz.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like we're going to be in a good that it's going to help us make the playoffs. I really want to see if we can make the playoffs while adding all those first round picks and also not spending a lot on older players.
Yeah,
Um,
there's no tight end premium also. That's why I'm kind of that's why I was saying it was a wonky pick because this is just straight tight ends. But Schultz sees what 100 plus targets. Yeah, 104 targets last season. Also, it's 3 flexes, so like you stuff a good tight end in there and you put another good tight end in your flex, and that's kind of what we're doing with Kasicki in the 11th. But
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So we didn't have a 10 and then we go in the 11th and take Mike Gesicki. It felt like it had to be a tight end in many ways. Like
it
it
did.
just
It did have to be a tight end. I agree.
there wasn't a lot there that I loved. I mean, Calvin Ridley had just gone off the board,
It's a
for
big
God's
sign
sake.
that the talent's kind of
Uh,
red flagging off the board. Yeah.
yeah, I mean the next wide receivers to go are Lockett and Landry, who are good players, but they are old. Two of the next four picks are other tight ends, Komet and Knox. Honestly, I wish Komet had come back to us in the 12th. James Robinson goes shortly thereafter. I'm not interested in him. So, like, there's not a lot. DJ Chark might have been the other guy I'd have considered here.
Hmm.
Rondale Moore, maybe, but like, those are real speculative pieces too.
Should
So,
Gainwell have been in play for us as the Sanders owner? Or
I guess,
I don't
I
know. Yeah.
guess,
I didn't even really look at him. I think that's pretty early for Kenny G, the
I
other Kenny G.
agree.
Yeah.
Other Kenny G. Speaking of which, so then in the 12th round, we go ahead and take Kenny Galladay.
Yep. The highest paid wide receiver in football for the 2022 season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really wanted Tyler Boyd to get back to us. He went 3 picks ahead of us.
Hmm.
I liked. I kind of wanted Robert Woods to get there. He went a few picks before that, 6 picks ahead of us. Um, gosh, I don't feel good about taking Kenny Galladay, but he was not right last year medically, and the reports are he's fine. So, like, maybe he's just fine again. Maybe this is a guy who has the potential to really quickly rocket up boards, right? Like, if we get reports out of camp that Galladay looks like his old self, and then he gets 10 targets for 7 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown in week 1, he's gonna rocket up boards because people remember what he was.
Yeah, there's a new
So
coach regime in there, so there's not a lot of bad flavor and bad taste in the mouth of the people. Like if he's healthy, they'll get him involved a lot. Um, I hope he is.
and it's a terribly mixed up receiving room.
It really is.
Um,
It really is. Yeah.
but in many ways, he is the guy who has what it takes to be the one there. And then we came back 6 picks later, 5 picks later in the third round or the 13th round, and we took Van Jefferson over Nico Collins, over Miko Hardman, over
Hunter
Hunter
Henry. Yeah.
Henry. But Albert O went a spot ahead of us. I'd have considered that, although, gosh, I don't really need 3 tight ends this early.
Tim Patrick would have
So
been in play for me, and Jefferson as well. Patrick's just a little older, but
that
I like what Patrick's been able to do.
let's see, is Patrick still on?
I'm
Patrick
saying he
still
would
around?
have been in play with Jefferson. He was kind of right there. He's gone now though. He went in the 13th round.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I like it's getting really thin. So as I look at what I've got, or what we've got in our queue right now, we're looking at the likes of Lavisca. Um, gosh, what other wide receivers do we have even in here? Donovan Peoples-Jones, KJ Osborne, KJ Hamler.
I like Osborne. I think he's got some sneaky good upside, especially in
Uh,
Dynasty.
I do too, but these are
They're
real
darts.
speculative
They're all
plays. These
darts.
are darts. Yes, these are darts. Um, yeah. So Laviska, DPJ. Um,
Terrence Marshall. How do you feel about
yeah.
Gerald Everett? We've kind of had some time to stare at him in a Chargers uniform, and weird. I
I'm
don't
not
know what I want to do.
terribly.
Yeah,
Uh, this league isn't deep enough, and it's one tight end. But like in your two tight end leagues, I'm kind of buying Trey McKitty and just hoping Gerald Everett washes out. I don't know. I just don't see a lot of upside to Everett. In a league like this, there's no upside to Everett. That's my take.
that's fair.
Um, so how many spots here are we from the board? So if we look at our team right now, we currently have. Do we have a full starting roster? We have a full starting roster and no bench as of now. We have quarterback Josh Allen, superflex Justin Fields, running backs Saquon Barkley and Miles Sanders, both Penn State guys, wide receivers Devonta Smith and Chase Claypool, tight end Dalton Schultz, and flexes Mike Gesicki, Kenny Galladay, and Van Jefferson.
No
Not a
QB3,
great lineup,
unfortunately. Yeah,
but like passable enough if you can find one or two boom players out of, let's say, injury away running backs or the rookie draft. Having Allen and Barkley at the top of this roster gives it a shot. Having Allen, Barkley, and Fields at the top of this roster gives it a shot.
yep. I agree.
Where are you looking going forward? So I think that's a good update on where we are. Where are you going forward on this? Who do you like? Do you like the wide receivers as they're sitting here? Do you think would you want to go for a running back at this point?
Chenault's my favorite player on the board right now.
Chenault?
I think he's the most interesting. You should probably call him a dart. I mean, you're looking at 99 targets last season. They invested heavily at the receiving position. That's bad signs for him. But this is also, they get him involved in different ways. I've always liked the talent that Chenault brings. And right about this is really the 14th round is, if you've been DMing me and I've been helping you with your draft boards, I say this a lot. The 14th round is really where there's no more bad picks, in my opinion. It's you're just getting your guys, you're getting bench players, you're taking shots and darts, like, you know what I mean. There's no like, oh, that was a reach. There's no such thing as a reach in the 14th round. Right about there, maybe.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, so it's like you just get your dudes. But I like him. DPJ is interesting for sure. Tailbacks I like on the board. You have Sermon on our thing on our queue, or we have Sermon on our queue. I like that. Dante Foreman definitely would play.
JD McKissick is an interesting one to me because JD McKissick is a guy you can stick in your lineup in a pinch. And it does, like, he doesn't need, unlike the other guys who are not starting running backs, he does not need the guy ahead of him to be out for you to play him as a in a pinch play, and maybe he can give you enough, right?
McKissick's not going to brick, man. I'm looking at his PPR numbers right now from last season. In games where he was active, J.D. McKissick did not score less than 7 points in PPR.
Right. So like
there you go.
That's so awesome. The nice thing with McKissick.
That's some floor.
And they wanted him and intend to use him. They broke unwritten rules to get him back, right? So, I in a world where we're sitting on Saquon and Sanders, like, yeah, we're going to want to cuff those guys. Yeah, we're going to want to get some injury away guys so that we have some upside. But McKissick is a guy who can just fill a spot for you for a bit if you need it. Yeah. So are you in the adding running backs mindset right now, or are you more in the adding? I
want Chenault and I want Osborne. Crowder's kind of interesting. Yeah. I think it's about time to start smashing these handcuffy, injury away type We'll just call it McKissick and the boys. I don't know.
Who, yeah,
We can start adding
no.
these guys real soon.
Who do you like better amongst who do you like better amongst the two Miami backs who are left on the board, Mostert and Sony?
Mostert and Sony. Definitely Sony. Mostert is. I've already put Mostert in a coffin in my mind.
I
you know,
feel like there are going to be weeks when you're happy to start Sony this year.
yeah. Like I said, I don't. You look at Mostert's recent history. It's a big void.
Yeah, so
Big blank.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. So yeah, we got Devonta Ford. Now, one of the things that's interesting here is a lot of the best injury away backs this year are second and third round rookie picks.
Yep.
Which we don't have access to.
Yeah,
so
we don't have any bonus rookies for the rookie draft. All we have is our own allocation, our own. What is it? I think we're doing a 4-rounder.
Yeah, what do we got? 107, 203, or 110, 203, 310, 403, something, whatever it is.
Yep, that's it.
We might be able to add more later. Looking at the injury away backs, I see Darrell Williams, I see Matt Breida, I kind of think
Keyshawn Vaughn still interests me. I mean, I don't know. There's no guarantees with Rashad. Fournette's missed time in the past. Keyshawn's there. He ain't dead. He's there. He was involved.
I think
more
the obvious
season.
ones here are Sermon and Sony and Foreman.
And you talk about injury away guys. I really like Brown's guy, DeErnest, as an injury running back because he's kind of handcuffing two different players at the same time.
Yeah.
If Hunt or Chubb, either of them go down, DeErnest steps into a pretty big role. So, and I think he's a talented player in his own right. As far as amongst these other backs, he has talent.
And as we've discussed, I think Myles Gaskin remains interesting as a guy who I don't think is going to make that roster. And I do think is going to be a very desirable ad at cut time. I think I really think somebody's going to get him. And, he might just take the satellite back job for a decent team or something.
If Miami cuts him, in the next few weeks, where would be a good spot to see the Gaskin land? Maybe the Bears.
I mean, I think he could go. I think he could go take the job in Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
But I also think he would make a really good pair to like Najee or somebody like that if you wanted to spell him with some of that kind of work, right? Like, yeah, I could see that. But we don't have a lot of handcuff backs left, right? Because of the rookies not being in here. It's really McKissick's not really a handcuff; he's a satellite back. But then Sermon, Jamal Williams, Sony, Deontay Foreman. There's not a lot after that. Darrell Williams.
I'm gonna throw some names at you. I want you to tell me who the handcuff is for that player. Okay. So Najee, who's the main handcuff for Najee right now here today?
I assume it's Benny Snell.
I do too. Okay. Who's the other one? There were a couple other names on my mind, and then I just blanked immediately. Sorry. James Conner. Who gets in there if James Conner tears the ACL? It's Darrell.
It's 100% Darrell Williams.
Okay.
I'm out on Keontae Ingram as a pickup for this year.
Okay.
If you still like the prospect, then more power to you out there. But like for me, I don't think that's gonna happen.
McCaffrey goes down. Who's getting the workload?
Oh, it's easy Foreman.
Definitely Foreman.
All of it.
Okay.
Foreman, all of it. That's my take.
Derrick Henry.
Haskins.
Not Hilliard. Haskins.
Nope. Haskins.
Okay. Dalvin would be Madison. Zeke would be Pollard. Javonte would be Gordon, I guess. Is there a third running back in Denver we should be aware of?
Mike Boone is there, but I wouldn't be worried about him.
Kamara goes down. Kamara suspended for 2 games. Is Mark Ingram's there, I guess, still. So that'd be the man, right? Yeah.
Is it Abram Smith? I don't know. Who knows? That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I think the value left on the board is in wide receivers, really, in many ways. Corey Davis, DPJ, Jamison Crowder, KJ Hamler,
Yeah.
Robbie Anderson, Kendrick Bourne, Devin Duvernay. I think that's where the value is left on the board right now. There are also some good tight ends left. I do think Evan Ingram is a good player who might be useful this year.
Tyler Higbee's a ball player. Austin Hooper has a top. What? He has 2 top 6 finishes at the position under his belt, and he's only 27 years old. That's interesting. Adam Troutman, we've been waiting for him. Could be his year. Could be his
Brevin
year,
Jordan?
Troutman. Yeah.
Brevin Jordan.
Cameron Brate is a starting tight end for the Bucks today for Tom Brady and the highest passing volume offense in the league. Yeah, Brevin Jordan, I'm not trying to overlook that. I think he has real upside. A guy I've been picking up a good bit, and I see this guy go undrafted regularly, is Mo Alley Cox.
Yep.
I mean, what's his name is cool. The Granson and Jelani are cool, but I think Cox is going to lead this team in snaps at the tight end position this year, and that's Matt
Probably.
Ryan's tight end, so it's going to have some value.
Obviously, Gronk's still out there, right? Like, there's a play that you could make that has more of a redraft feel to it, but it's interesting. So the split between guys who are not going to give you anything but have a chance to be long-term values, like Terrace Marshall, and guys who could be role players for you but don't have long-term value, like Sony Michel, Gerald Everett, like Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder. There's an interesting split left. Kendrick Bourne, bunch of these guys who I don't think are going to give you long-term value, but I do think we need to add some of those guys soon, or we're going to end up thin at wide receiver.
I agree.
So yeah, I think for my money, I would put JD McKissick as the number 1 player left on our board. And then I would have KJ Osborne 2. And then I like LaVisca 2.
You're right in there. Conversation, yeah. I'm messing with you.
That's how I would rate. I get LaVisca. I'm very worried about him.
I don't have high hopes, but I like the talent. It's
What do you like about the talent there?
I like he's versatile and is big, and I feel like the regime, wants him there. I don't know.
Do they?
Maybe not.
Have you seen anything that makes you think that? Other than the fact that he hasn't been traded.
I didn't watch Jags that much last year, but in his rookie season, the few times I did watch him, I was like, hey, that guy can kind of play football. So I don't know.
Yeah, my worry with him is he doesn't run good routes.
Sure.
Because and he did. This is the scary comp for Treylon Burks, by the way.
The Chenault.
Yes.
He could be the next Chenault. Yeah.
Right. People were like, "Oh, he's very Debo-ish Burks," right? And that's like the good comp for Burks, and the bad comp is LaVisca, who played a lot of positions, played some wildcat, played some running back, and got a lot of manufactured touches, but didn't line up wide and run a route tree, and then that hasn't worked yet in the league. I really do think if we don't take J.D. McKissick, we're going to struggle at running back. If we want to make the playoffs, we should consider it.
We should pick him up this round. I'm good with it. No bad picks in the 14th, so just go for it.
And then I think you got guys like Sony and Foreman who have league-winning upside for us.
We don't have a quarterback 3. Is there anyone on the list jumping out at you that's like?
There isn't a quarterback 3 left. This is the next conversation: is do you want to, are you interested in Drew Lock and Geno Smith?
I'm interested in Geno because I think he's so cheap. He's like 25th round, and honestly, I think he starts. I think the familiarity with the system wins out, and he starts over Lock. I think Lock was a throw-in the package.
Oh, I don't.
Okay.
I think they went and asked for Lock, and he's going to start.
Okay. Hey, that could be the take.
Well, we don't know, right?
So do you want Lock then? I guess.
As a team that doesn't have a third quarterback, there's a place I want Lock.
Sure.
Not yet, but I wouldn't mind getting both of those guys with late picks, depending on how everybody else fades them. The other thing we could do is go add like Case Keenum in the 28th round.
Oh, okay, we're gonna roster Case Keenum. Don't worry about that.
Well, it's a 28 round. It's not deep. This is not a deep roster. You can't just roster everybody. You can't roster all the Brady's and Keenums.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask if Simeon is worth rostering. That's Justin Fields' handcuff, and I'm thinking no.
Maybe.
Probably not.
It may be one of those things where if our quarterbacks don't mostly stay healthy, we just can't compete.
I've struggled with this before where, like, yeah, you can roster the backup, and he'll come in there and you'll have that safety, but, like, if the backup isn't going to do anything when he gets in there, he's not worth rostering at all, and that's kind of where I'm at with Simeon.
And that's the thing is I think Case Keenum is passable.
Yes, and I agree with that. If Keenum got the start, he's a startable fantasy asset.
He's probably better than your wide receiver 5 or whatever.
Whatever you would stuff in that flex, yeah.
Right. The other name out there right now at quarterback is Jordan Love.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Yep.
Worth just thinking about.
What is the future for Jordan Love, man? What's Jordan Love doing in the 2025 season?
He's got to be signing somewhere else.
Yeah, you think? Okay.
We don't know. I mean, who knows? The light switch could turn on in year 4, and it's a seamless transition from Rodgers to Love, but that doesn't seem likely.
True or false? Jordan Love is a starting caliber NFL quarterback.
Oh, today he's not.
He's not. Okay.
But he's very talented, and we haven't seen anything.
Yep.
I thought he was a worthy fringe first-round quarterback pick. So I think that's where we are. Is we got to get these wide receivers and running backs. I think we're strong enough at tight end already. I don't think there's anything left at quarterback, and we're running out of stuff at running back. The wide receiver is going to have to take up, 6 of our next 8 picks, probably. 5 of our next 8 picks.
Probably get McKissick and then start banging wide receiver for a while.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where we look. I really
Huntley.
like.
I'm sorry,
Tyler. Yeah, no,
he's. How do you feel about that?
I am adding him where I have Lamar and nowhere else.
Okay, only as a handcuff. You think he has value? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, the other place I'm adding him occasionally is in best balls. Like if it's a deep best ball, I like that because I think he's good when he plays. We've seen that, but no, I think it's got to be running backs here. McKissick, and Jamal.
There goes Chenault.
So,
he's gone now. So
that discussion's off the table. Yep, Chenault's gone.
Yep.
Higbee's gone. Beckham's gone. We're up in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5 spots. And I think
2 of the next 9.
2
of the next 10. You're right, 10. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think I have right now McKissick, Osborne, or we have right now McKissick, Osborne, Peoples-Jones, and some of this was just me throwing this in there. So you tell me how you like it.
I might be willing to move Sermon ahead of Hamler. I don't know.
Okay.
Hamler's good times though. There goes Chuba.
I think Foreman and Sony too low. Maybe I don't know.
I was looking at that.
Marshall.
Yeah, Foreman could be. Now, what do you do with KJ Hamler? He's a. I don't know anything about the player. He looks a little undersized at 5'9" on my screen.
He's super undersized. He was a second, but I mean, listen, he was the 43rd pick of the draft.
Was he? I didn't know that was so high.
Yes, yeah. He went. I think a pick ahead of Claypool.
Really?
Yes, and then he has had 2 season-ending injuries.
Yep.
But now he's coming back. He has had 2 season-ending injuries, and they developed Tim Patrick in the meantime, which kind of shuffles him out of right because they took Judy in the first round and then Hamler in the second round, having already had Sutton. So that was supposed to be their 3.
And then Patrick came along.
Patrick develops, and Patrick and Sutton both got paid this last year, so he's a little locked out. But he's a tremendous talent. He reminds some people of Tyler Lockett. Mm-hmm. And they got Russ there. So that's why people are kind of excited for KJ Hamler right now.
It's just when you ask me about where to slot, I literally I couldn't tell you where to slot him in on the board. I don't know almost anything about the player. The proximity to Russell Wilson is interesting, and the fact that he's handcuffing. You know, I imagine this team will be in three receiver sets quite often.
Yes.
So if any one of those three guys go down, and two of which are very much prone to injury,
And one of which has a potential suspension out there.
certainly, that's interesting to me. I want that. And then you bake all that into his 5'9", 178 frame, and it's like kind of weirdness. And now you're telling me I didn't even realize he was a top 50 pick. So it's like,
Very fast.
so what
And
do you
he's
do?
very, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
One that we he's tiny and fast. That's what he is. He's so yeah, Tyler Lockett. How do you like him compared to Terrace Marshall? How do you like him compared to some of these other guys on here?
I maybe like Marshall more because Marshall's probably starting off the rip, but in a worse offense.
Do you have Marshall and Hamler behind Sermon, Sony, Foreman?
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
Just because the running backs are running away from us?
Should Peoples-Jones even be so high? We didn't really talk about him.
Yeah, okay. How do you feel about him? I think he's got a 50-50 chance to be the wide receiver 2 there this year.
How do you feel about? Everything aside, how do you feel about the talent on Donovan Peoples-Jones? I think he's a pretty good football player.
I think he's a solid football player. Right?
Is he a wide receiver 2 in the NFL? Is he that?
I think in a dream world, like
okay. that's not Cleveland.
Like if everything comes together, that's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't really done it. He fell to the 7th round because I don't know if you remember his story. He was like the number 1 wide receiver recruit in the country.
Okay.
And then he went to Michigan.
Yep.
And he did nothing for 4 years. And then he went and tested out of the gym. And he was a 7th round pick.
6th, but yeah.
6th. Okay.
Sorry, I only know that because I'm a Browns fan. I didn't know anything else about the player. Yeah.
Okay. So he's, he's the late talent, or he's an elite talent in some ways.
He's a late bloomer.
But he's never put it together.
And
he still hasn't. So maybe we drop him behind these. These are like the last 3 running backs who are really appealing to me. That's kind of what gets scary to me. Is after
we should
McKissick,
probably just get all these running backs up there and just.
I do like KJ Osborne too much to. I do like KJ Osborne too much to pass on him. So let's keep him after McKissick. Then the 3 running backs. Then DPJ, Marshall, Hamler in that order. Oh, you know what? And then let's move Darrell Williams up.
Yeah, let's get Williams up there.
And let's move Jamal Williams up.
I like what you're doing. McKissick, Osborne. So Osborne is a standout receiver on the board right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree. Sermon, Michelle, Dante, Williams, Jamal. Is this the order these running backs should be ordered in?
You tell me.
I'm probably about to move Foreman ahead of Sony. Cause McCaffrey. Sony over Darrell. Yes.
Sony has a chance to start without an injury.
So where do you have it? Sony against Dante. Sony ahead of Foreman.
I think Sony has closer to stand. No, I'm willing to bet on Foreman.
Yeah,
I'm higher than. Okay, good. Behind Sermon.
Yeah. Boy, Sermon's so hard.
I don't hate the idea of taking Sermon and then taking Davis Price, and then just bet against Elijah Mitchell.
The thing is, where are we going to get TDB? Is he going to fall to us at the 310 rookie, you think? I don't think he is.
No, he isn't. No, you're right.
We'd have to make a move to go get him.
No, I don't want to make a move to go get him.
I don't either.
Is Matt Breida better than Gerald Everett?
For us, Breida should probably be. Breida should probably be ahead of Hamler for our team. He should probably be up. Like right above Jamal Williams. That's probably where we should have Breida. Or you think it's too high? I just as the value as the Saquon owner.
Are you absolutely sure he's the cuff? I feel like he is.
we can get the we could definitely get the UDFK
Hmm.
guy Corbin. Like post, he's not
I'm
going to
not
get rookie
interested in
drafted.
Brightwell. How do you feel about Jamison Crowder, Robbie Anderson, and Kendrick Bourne as guys who have short-term value?
Uh, I love the not Anderson. I think Crowder's sweet. I think Crowder could sneaky come out there and catch 100 balls. Maybe. I mean, if he's doing what Cole Beasley did, and I think he's more talented than Cole Beasley. Um, I mean, is that crazy? I don't know.
Uh, I don't think that's crazy at all.
I think Crowder
That's
could make some real noise. And then I think Robbie Anderson is I'm not there with Robbie. The reason I like Marshall is because the youth and the pedigree, and the longevity potentially coming with him. Anderson is just a
so. How do you feel about Crowder compared to DPJ, Marshall, and Hamler?
this is weird. I'd probably keep pushing Crowder up the board honestly because I think he's got some guaranteed work coming his way, which none of these other guys do.
How high?
Crowder, he should maybe be right there next to Osborne. Maybe
Osborne.
you think? That's what
I
I'm thinking.
that makes some sense to me. Let's move Crowder way up.
Yeah. Um, we were talking about Bourne. I've always liked Kendrick Bourne. I've kind of always he's been consistently a super late round dart that I've thrown the last several seasons, even going back to San Francisco. Seemed like he came on for New England at the end of the year. Seemed like they started turning him loose a little bit. They didn't add very much. I guess I don't know. Devontae Parker is kind of sneaky.
They added
The
Parker, and they
the kid
added
they
who's already
drafted,
off the
Thornton.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They added something, and they did bring back everybody.
Where are you at with Bourne? Because I'm kind of lost in the
I like
the
him.
sauce with him. Yeah.
I kind of. How old is he?
He's 26.
I'm actually happy to push him up. Let's say behind Marshall. No, I think I might even.
I think
behind.
I'd rather have Marshall than Bourne. I think you're correct.
Behind Marshall. Do you want Marshall or Hamler? Or I'm sorry, Bourne or Hamler?
I don't know. Do I want Bourne or Hamler? Give me the bigger player, the 6'1", 203 guy. I mean,
Okay.
that's tie breaks it for me. I don't know.
Do you like Corey Davis at all?
No.
Do you like Brian Edwards at all?
Interesting. Just because of I don't know, Mariota, right? Like how many passes is this team gonna throw?
They did play together too, Mariota. I hadn't even thought of that until right now.
Yeah, and the Raiders, right? They were played both in that black uniform. How about this? How does the Falcons' target allocation break out this year? So Pitts probably gets the most targets in the team at 100 something, and then London probably about 100 as well, right? And then who's next in the depth chart? It's Zacchaeus, Tate, Edwards, in some order.
Mm-hmm.
And then how many targets are available for those guys
Patterson.
to split? And Patterson, yeah. So Patterson probably get 50 plus targets
He's
as well.
probably the third target on the team.
Yeah. So
or fourth, but yeah, I don't know.
And we're talking about maybe like a 400 attempt pie from Mariota. I mean,
yeah, 450. Yeah. So no. All right, I think we're good. I think we've got enough to get us
to death. Yeah.
I think we're through two picks here.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that list will actually probably take us through three. Guys, these team ownership things do require a little bit of communication to get through a startup in a timely fashion. I know we have at times had to hold up the whole draft.
Oh yeah,
trying to talk through some stuff.
Yeah, we did.
So yeah. All right. Well, I think like and subscribe. It's right down below there. Like and subscribe. Throw us a comment. Tell us how you liked it. And we'll be back in a day or two to give you an update on the next 3, 4, 5 rounds and our thinking on it. All right.
Thank you so much. Hey, guys, 103 days. The Super Bowl champion LA Rams are going to take on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. That's the first game you get to enjoy. That's on September 8th. Hit the subscribe button. Have a wonderful night.